Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to our broadcast. Today is Saturday, and we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Anthony C.A., co-hosting with my partner, Dennis Cha. This edition of our show is a debate, not any other debate, but we are talking about a presidential debate. But in this presidential debate, we have two of possible candidates for 2023 being represented by their supporters. And so you can see that this will be a very, very interesting debate. It is a debate between Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings and President George Manuel Weah. We know President Weah, given that he is the incumbent president, will be on the ticket, except he decided otherwise, but someone told us he will do it. We also have Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, who made it clear that he will be a candidate. And in fact, he's going to win a primary and be the candidate. So these two individuals, these two political leaders, are being represented in this debate by their supporters. Representing President George Manuel Weah is Mr. Jerome Gidman. Mr. Jerome Gidman is an unabashed citizen. He is an ardent supporter of President George Manuel Weah. He believes in the pro-poor agenda. But he has attacks here in this debate. He will be debating the man, Ben Jonah. That is Benjamin Jonah. He is an advocate. He is a member of LOJA. That is Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. Very recently, Mr. Benjamin Jonah made it clear that he will be supporting Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, and he is not going to be sitting on the fence because the issues are serious and there's no time for somebody to just sit on the fence. We have a debate, Dennis. I'm all set.
Well, this is a preview to what we're going to see 2023. And so we are focused on Liberia 30 ways to get this started, to kickstart a political debate, a dialogue. What's supposed to be happening in our country. We are hoping that the two candidates or possible candidates, Mr. Cummings and Mr. President Weah, will appear right here on Focus on Liberia. But while we wait, they are represented by their ardent supporters. Mr. Jerome Gidman, an unabashed citizen, is here to make the case for President Weah, while Mr. Benjamin Jonah will be making the case for Mr. Alexander Cummings. Gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. We are glad to have you. Let me start with you, Mr. Jerome Gidman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, and I'm honored to be on your set.
Mr. Benjamin Jonah, the same way, representing Mr. Cummings tonight, we say welcome to the debate.
Thank you for having me, gentlemen. I am so pleased to be here to defend Mr. Cummings to the fullest.
All right, folks, in cyberspace, I will now allow my partner Dennis Jai to lay down the ground rules for this debate and how we will proceed with the debate so that you, the audience, as well as our debaters, will know the format that we are going with. Dennis, please lay it all out how we will proceed with the debate.
Right. This is our first in a series of debate. The second debate will be between Mr. Joseph Newman Boakai and again President Weah. And then we're going to have another possible contender, Mr. Darius Dillon, going against President Weah. We are not deciding, but we are looking through our crystal ball and saying that these are possible contenders. And then for the last in the series of debate will be other candidate versus President Weah. For tonight, we're going to be looking at the first segment. We're going to be looking at electability and fitness for the job. That's what our debaters will be discussing. Is Mr. Cummings electable? Is he fit for the job? Is President Weah electable for a second time? Is he fit for the job for a second term? We're also going to be looking at their accomplishments or track records in whatever area they find themselves. And then next, after that, we're going to look at their vision for the country. We're going to pick few sectors: education, the economy, infrastructure, and security, and tell us their vision for the country in those areas. Last but not the least, integrity, accountability, and judgment. So in this debate, we'll have each of them making the case for 2 minutes, followed by the other candidate. We have a coin toss, and we'll know who we pick for the first one. And so we'll have a time for rebuttal. Let's say each of them will have 2 minutes to make the case and 2 minutes each for rebuttal. So we're going to go through that. The moderators, we're going to ask questions as we see fit. And sometimes we ask no question based on our own rules and our own discussion. We'll have time for our viewers to chime in with their questions on Facebook, or if you are watching us from YouTube, and chime in, and our candidates will have the chance to get in. At the end, we're going to run a poll, or we're going to ask you to give your opinion who you think won the debate, and that will set the stage for another debate for Saturday. Gentlemen, you look all set. And so, Mr. Sia, let's get this going. Again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia.
And in this series of this debate, we are promoting the democratic process of Liberia by organizing a debate between two possible candidates being represented by their ardent supporters. Gentlemen, let's get started. We will now get opening questions here for you. I will ask a question, and in your opening, you will have 3 minutes to respond and give your overall reasons why you support your candidate and you think your candidate going to win. So according to the coins that we taught, Benjamin Jonah will be the first to go. And Mr. Jonah, this is your first question. Why would a President Cummings Liberia look like? And you have 3 minutes to make that case.
When I envision Mr. Cummings Liberia, what I see a country where accountability is going to be the hallmark of his administration. Accountability in the sense that Mr. Cummings is going to make sure that people who are working in his administration are accountable for everything that happens under their jurisdiction. Mr. Cummings is known for accountability in the sense that everywhere he works, he has always been applause. So every to every institution that he was ever part of. So just imagine this man who have done so much in work that everywhere he went, he added to that organization. Just imagine him ruling a country a country like Liberia, and I can rest assure you that accountability will be the hallmark. That is one thing that is lacking in Liberia. Look, it is not that Liberia has all bad people. There are good people in Liberia, but the problem that Liberians have always faced is the issue about accountability. And rest assured, Mr. Cummings is going to have that in his administration.
Thank you so very much for your opening statement and our opening question. Mr. Jaron Getman, this is your opening question. What will Liberia look like on a President Weah second term?
Well, thank you very much for a job well done. I have to acknowledge the tremendous work that you guys do to educate our folks, and I want to acknowledge that. When you look at the plans and the groundwork that the president is now putting in place, we are talking about his hallmark, road connectivity. We are looking at connecting all 15 counties in the second term, that you can take your produce from Lofa County to Grand Bassa County and return to Lofa County in the same day. We are now looking at something that is alien to the West. We are taking a page right out of Dwight Eisenhower's playbook, 1950s, when he introduced the interstate highway system in the United States. So this is not something new. This is something that in international parlance we call best practice. We expect that within the second term of Dr. Weah, all 15 counties would be connected all produce, and the best of every county will be available for every county. And that would make the economy blossom to a degree that we have never seen before. So this is just the start of great things to come in the second term.
Dennis?
Thank you, gentlemen. And we want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Please share the show. This is first in a series of presidential debates. Tonight we have Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings going against President George Weah, being represented by their two supporters.
Can I say something to what Brother Jeremy just said?
You will have time for rebuttal.
Okay.
All right. So my question to you, Ben, is you say accountability for Mr. Cummings in the second term. What else besides accountability?
Not second term.
I'm sorry. For a Cummings presidency, what else do you see besides accountability?
So there are a whole lot, but I'm not going to bore the audience tonight about the 2 minute things that Mr. Cummings is going to accomplish. We do not have time for that. I am going to sum everything up and then have accountability at the top. However, there are other things that that will fall under them. That has to do with hard work. This man is hardworking. You cannot. If you want to have someone to lead Liberia, you must have someone who have the passion, who have the integrity, and who is willing to change. And these are the hallmarks of a good leader. You can use this man's life as an example. This man's life should be an example for Liberians to emulate.
Thank you.
I see no reason why any Liberian will want to lose such a great man with all that he have done in the world. And mind you, this man is not most of what he have done always. He has not been taking money away from Liberia, but he always bring money into Liberia. So if you wanted to choose a Liberian, do you choose the one who takes money away or the one who brings money into Liberia?
Thank you. My question for you, Mr. Gamer, I'm from Dodokan, Sino County, southeastern Liberia, and the road is really bad. So after 3 years, what's going to change about this road going to my hometown? Because if you say the second term will be all about roads.
Well, I'm not saying the second term is all going to be about road. I'm saying in the second term, you're going to see the foundation that have been laid when you, there's a very famous picture or photograph on Facebook or in social media showing Mr. Cummings' first visit to the Southeast, where he was deeply in the mud. And he said to the Liberian audience, look at us, we are 173 years old and we do not have a road to the Southeast. The question that we have for Mr. Cummings was, at 63 or 64 years old, it took you 64 years to go to the Southeast from where you were, from where you hail, where you say your parents come from. In 64 years, you just noticing that we have bad roads in Liberia. You were born there all your life. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents were born there. They have never experienced road. And now he is questioning.
You are not answering my question.
What is your question, sir?
My question is roads. You said the second time we're going to see roads. We have not seen roads for the first 3 years. So what can assure me, coming from Sino County, that the road's going to be any better on a second term of President Weah?
Well, Mr. Jai, I think you are a student of history and of current events. You have been following the road developments in Liberia, and that the World Bank and the African Development Bank agrees with this administration that road connectivity is number one. That Liberia is far behind its partners in the West, in the Mano River Union, according to road. This is why all the road projects were approved. And as you can see, the road from Ganta is being paved, it's being done. The road to Grand Jita, which is closer to you, is on par to be done. The Raba International Highway ground has been broken, is ready to go. So you are seeing all these roads. Well, Rome was not built in one day. This we know. The road development in Liberia is an elephant. We can't eat it whole. We eat it piece at a time, but we know where we are coming from. And if you saw the road in Maryland County, you saw the unveiling of a road that is decent. It's beautiful.
Mr.
So what we
Gilman,
are saying here, within 2 years, we were able to do this much. Just imagine what we're going to do in 6 years, much less the second term.
Thank you. That leads on to our first segment, which we're going to begin this whole thing, which is electability and fitness. So I will go to Mr. Sia, who I think he will determine who's go first. But the question here is for Mr. Gibman, why will President Weah deserve a second term? How is he electable or fit for a second term? And for Mr. Jonah, is Mr. Cummings fit for the job? Is he electable, given what we know now about Mr. Cummings? Mr. Sia, who goes first?
well, I would like Mr. Jerome Gitman to go first because Ben went first in the opening segment. So, Mr. Gitman, you heard Dennis asking that question, whether or not President Weah deserves a second term, given how things have been going so far. But this is my question. Need to explain the factors that make President Weah electable and suitable for a second term.
Excellent, excellent. In fact, it is a very easy question. I was expecting something a little more difficult than that, but I will take it. I will take it. When you're talking about why should the president be re-elected or is he electable? Look at the distinction between him and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came to power, she claimed that her claim to fame is that she kept the peace. But we all know under her administration, we have 15,000 international troops on the ground. We have international bodyguards. We have everything that had to do with security in the hands of the international community. When President Weah came, President Weah picked up the mantle, and he had to use for the first time our own security apparatus. And the country, as we see, is at peace. The country, it is not at war. We do not have any political prisoners. We do not have anything that has to do with security of the state. So President Weah deserves all the credit with all the freedom of speech that is being given to our folks. Not once have the president or the security harassed anybody based on their ethnicity, their religion, their politics, or even expressing themselves. The president deserves not only a second term, but actually he should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that was Mr. Jerome Gitman there. Let's bring Mr. Jonah in. Jonah, before you do your rebuttal, we want you to give your opening, answer your opening question in this segment, or yes, your question in this segment, which is Mr. Cummings electable and suitable for the presidency of Liberia?
Yes, Mr. Cummings is. He is electable for the presidency of Liberia. And here is why. Usually, why it is true that experience is not always the hallmark of a good leader. That is not the case of Alexander B. Cummings, because if you went for his track record and you use his present record, it all explains why he is fit and capable of being the president of Liberia. He has been successful as a businessman, and he has been. Recently, he is the one that is leading the CPP, and the recent victory can all prove to you as to why this man is able to be the president of Liberia. But mind you, I listened to my brother Jerome said, why we should give Weah another 6 years. And he talks about role. But Brother Jerome, I want to remind you, the rate at which George Weah is building roads, if we apply that to Liberia, we would need to make George Weah king before roads can be completed in Liberia. Just the ratio, the amount of roads that he is constructing, if we apply it to the whole country, we don't need to have normal election until. It means that we have to make George Weah king, and we're not going to make him king because roads, he is building them so slow. there is nothing is coming in. The country is divided, and he is talking about roads as his number one issue. No.
Mr. Gilman, you're listening to Ben there. Your rebuttal, sir.
Well, I think Ben was able to navigate cleverly to dodge your question. Was his candidate electable? And the question that he couldn't answer, I will answer it for him, and I will give you why he's not electable. Brother Cummings, Mr. Cummings is not electable. First of all, he doesn't know Liberia. He knows Monrovia, but he doesn't know Liberia. He's an alien to the Republic of Liberia. As you can see, if Cummings knew Liberia and was a student of history, a student of our culture, and the suffering and the humiliation of our people, he will not subject himself to be put in a hammock and took around on the back of the people from village to village. This is a man who said he wants to lead the folks. But that picture left an indelible mark. It reminds me of judgment in the Southeast. People being touching him, the poor. So Mr. Cummings has no cultural experience. He has no cultural connectivity to the people. He doesn't know the people he wants to run. Yes, he can be president of Monrovia, but not for Liberia. He has no connection. The man was 64 years old before he went to his own hometown of Maryland County, where he is not known. Nobody knows him. Nobody knows who the Cummings are there. What are his contributions to Maryland County? He doesn't have a heart. His father doesn't have a heart. His grandparents do not have a heart. He doesn't know what time they were born in. He didn't know where they came from. This man is not a Liberian. He's a Monrovian. And you cannot run Monrovia as Liberia. Monrovia is not Liberia. So this man is not.
Mr. Gilman, I have two follow-ups there before
Please do.
Follow-up number one, you said the man is a Monrovian. He's not a Liberian. Are Monrovians non-Liberian? That's one.
Okay.
And the second point I want to follow up on is that you said he is an alien to Liberia. But let me remind you, since the presidential election in 2017, this alien, as you call him, visited the Southeast twice. And President Weah is yet to even visit the Southeast or any other county for that matter for the purpose of saying thank you to the people that elected him. Do you still believe that Cummings is an alien? Two questions there for you.
Yes. Let's look at the historical context. The Republic of Monrovia and the rest of Liberia came together just as recently as President Tubman's term. And actual Liberians like me and my fathers, we became citizens of the Republic of Liberia in 1914. So yes, the Republic of Liberia, you were from Kawiakan, you were from Bon County, you were from Lofa, you were not part of the Republic of Liberia. So this is a historical fact. We know that. Now you're talking about going to the Southeast. Benedict Cummings needs to go to the Southeast every day to make up for the 64 years that he has never visited the Southeast. George Weah was born and raised in the Southeast. He doesn't need to go to the Southeast. He understands their situation. He understands their plight. He understands who they are. He understands what they eat. He understands how to feed. He understands how to set trap. He knows that. Cummings needs to learn those things he has missed out on 64 years. He needs to learn.
Thank you. Ben, that's a lot there for you to unpack. Go for it.
There is a whole lot, but to be honest, every time that I would take to talk about how bad my opponent is, that would be a waste of time about how much time that I need to spend on telling you the good things about my candidate. Now, he said few things that are not true when he called Mr. Cummings an alien. Because by the way, there is not a Liberian politician in Liberia that have visited almost all of the 15 counties. There's not one. And if you want to tell me today that President Weah knows the people in the Southeast, so does not have to visit them, let me tell you how bad he is. The only time we saw him leave Monrovia, it was the time of election. That is not someone who loves his people. Because someone who loves his people will go there when they do not need him. He can go there anytime, and Mr. Cummings have shown that. And by the way, let's go into various counties and let's see who have invested in more than 6 or 7 counties in Liberia. It's Mr. Cummings. And I can give you his investment into those counties, the things that he did for people, other than his own people. And Mr. Cummings does not see any other Liberian as those people. He sees every Liberian in every county as Liberians. So this issue of separation by calling him an alien, I hope you will find time, for you to withdraw that statement, because I find that very offensive. But for the fact that you can call another Liberian an alien, I don't think that is good for our democracy. So maybe I must give you this time to please retract that particular statement by you calling Mr. Cummings an alien.
Mr. Gammon, you have an opportunity to retract something that you said that Benjamin Sarre is not okay with. Do you want to retract that?
Mr. Benedict, I think you have something in common with Mr. Cummings. Both of you are called Ben in short. Not only am I going to solidify what I said, that he's an alien, but I gave you biblical, and I gave you theoretical, and I gave you numerical facts. The man was 64 years old before he went his first field trip as a political student, as a novice to Maryland County. He is an alien to the folks. They don't know him. He called himself coming from Maryland, asking, where in Maryland are you from? Where were your neighbors buried? He has no idea. He is an alien, an absolute alien.
Mr. Gilbert, I see that you try to double down. Let me bring something to the mix here. There are presidential candidates or other politicians who have been in Liberia for many years compared to Cummings, who have not even been able to win about 10 or 15% of what Cummings was able to win just by contesting for the first time. One example is Dr. Tubana Tipote. He has always been on the ticket. I don't remember Tipote even hitting 5% in any election. He had been on the ground. So if your yardstick is that, because he has not been able to win one vote as one of your yardsticks, then I think you need to look at it again. Don't you think so?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because based on Mr. Cummings' resume and what his people postulate, he's a man of calculations. He's a man with resources. He's a man who planned very well, and a man who have put a lot of work into what he wants to do. That being the case, for the resources that he put in and for his return on his investment, it's a flat out failure. And that is a rejection on the part of the people. Compare that to Dr. George Manning Weah. When he shows up, Liberia shows up. We see him as one of our own. He lives like us. He speaks like us. He talks like us. And the American man said, when he walks and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. This guy is the real deal. George Manning Weah is the real deal. He talks like us. He suffers like us. He has bear the pain and suffering of the people. He is one of us.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. That takes us to our next segment, which is accomplishments and track records. So before you pass to the next class, we look at your grade sheet and see whether you pass all your courses. For Mr. Cummings, what has been his accomplishments in the areas he has worked and also in Liberia for which he's qualified to be president. For Mr. Weah, what has he done as a president for which he should be elected? So let's look at accomplishment. Let's look at track record. And this time, Ben, you go first.
Yeah, so when we look at the things that Mr. Cummings have done in Liberia outside of politics, Mr. Cummings have invested into paying students wire fee, something that George Weah solely uses the government money and he seek praise on himself as if it's some big thing. Mr. Cummings have done that for over covering 21 schools. Mr. Cummings have donated musical instruments to churches. One was in Maryland County. It's a church called Mount Scott. Mr. Cummings also went to he also furnished the University of Liberia computer lab. Mr. Cummings built many bridge in Maryland that connects part of the town with the college. That they have there. Mr. Cummings have taken his personal money and then pay salary for hospital workers in Zozo that were not paid for over 7 months, something that he was not the president of. He have given a 5 kVA generator to the Batala High School. He gave a 30 kVA to the Islamic University. He gave a 350 kVA to BWR. And look, I can name and name, and the list goes on. He has not been even when we during the time of the Ebola crisis. Mr. Cummings brought in medical care for the Liberian people. His foundation spent almost $1 million in Liberia. Presently, he invests in science, math, and technology for students. Mr. Cummings, this man is doing so much so that sometimes I just cannot imagine why is it the Liberian people will lose such a man only because people. Some of our friends like Jerome want to call them aliens only because they do not sound the way how he sounds. And I don't know when was the last time Liberians were being called Liberian because of the way in which the sound. Because I know a lot of Ghanaians who live in Liberia that I live with that can even speak the Liberian
English
better than some other Liberians. So do we call them Liberians? Is that how we are going to identify Liberians now? I think that it's just below the belt.
Thank you.
Mr. Cummings have done a lot in Liberia, even when he has not been the president of this country.
Dennis, I think let's give Jerome the opportunity to rebut before we ask him his own question. Mr. Gibbon, you can rebut to what he just said.
My brother Benedict, I want to remind you that Ben were able to, he talks about all the gifts and everything, but he did. What I like about he doesn't attach dates, because if he attached dates, we will know that the Cummings have begun to do these things after he had some aspirations when he knew he wanted to run for office. This man has been president or CEO for a branch of Coca-Cola for over 40 years. And in 2016, 2017, lately at 2017, he bought some computers and then did some computer lab. Prior to that, 20 years prior to that, President George Weah was in every refugee camp, spending his hard-earned money to do for the Liberian people what nobody would have ever done. That alone qualifying for the UN to say, you are our true ambassador. So, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Benedict, I'm sorry. You are just coming. You are just coming to this game.
Mr. Gilman is Benjamin, not Benedict. Benjamin Jonah.
Yeah. Okay. Ben. We all call them Ben, Benjamin, Benedict. The same. Just like Bill and William. The same folk. So Ben. Thank you very much for evading the dates and time. But it's all right.
Well,
we gave you a pass.
If you want those dates, I can give them to you. But there is one thing that you forgot to have said about Mr. Cummings. You know what? He was given the highest award in Liberia, the highest honorable award in Liberia. He didn't get it because he was out there doing nothing. He did it because of his humanitarian work that he was doing in Liberia, the highest award in your country. What then do you say to that kind of a person?
Who gave it to him?
All right, then.
But Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
Yes. And that says a lot. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is a debate between Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings and President George Manuel Weah. These political leaders are represented by their ardent supporters. Ben Jonah representing Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, and Mr. Jerome Gateman is represented by President Weah, and we are having a 2023 presidential debate. Mr. Gateman, talking about accomplishment and track record. So tell me, President Weah has been in office now for 3 years. I know you recited, those things he did in the past before becoming president. He will be judged now based on what he has been doing since becoming president. So talking about what he has been up to since becoming president, tell us the track record and accomplishments for which Liberians should give him a second chance.
If you are a supporter of Dr. George Manuel Weah, we say a man that was born blessed, a man who was born to lead, born to succeed, West Point's best, Claratown's best, IE's best, Liberia's best.
Are you talking about things you did?
I'm coming. I'm coming. Africa's best, Europe's best, the world best. So you know he has succeeded. Now let's go to Liberia. How did he land in Liberia? Okay, using all his bests, brought back to the country and became what nobody else had become. In the midst of shooting and destruction, he came and told the folks, let the gun be silenced.
Mr. Gilman,
the gun was silenced. Yes.
Mr. Gilman, please go straight into his track record as president since 2017. He won it.
Well,
we have 2 minutes. We don't want to continue.
Yes. Okay, we talk about the Pro-Poor agenda. The 4 pillars of the Pro-Poor agenda that I subscribe to: education, healthcare, security, okay, and education. And you know this. Now, the first thing George Weah did when he came to power was send 25 doctors to the West. For the first time in the history of Liberia, we are going to have specialists. It is unprecedented, unheard of. You saw the building of, for the first time, our military hospital, our VA. We have a 14 military hospital specifically for our veterans. You saw that. You saw the largest hospital in West Africa, in the Mana River Union, in the Redemption Hospital, at $12.9 million under construction, will be the referral hospital for the entire Mana River Union. You see the construction of roads, you see the construction, and now you see the lit up of the city of Monrovia. When the president told you that the place was dark and it needed to be lit, the place is lit. We are looking at a Wyatt fee. We are looking about free education, okay, to all the universities of Liberia, and to make that even permanent. This week, the CDC, through Thomas Fala, said the president should not only make that a budgetary item, but we are codifying it into law that successive
Mr. Gilman, your time is over. Thank you. Sorry that we have to cut you off. That's why we're wanting you.
Accomplishment. That's correct.
To speak to the main presidential accomplishment. You just listening to Mr. Gilman. Ben, what's your rebuttal, please?
So I'm just wondering as to if Mr. Gibbon have ever seen the budget, because if Mr. Gibbon have seen the Liberian budget under President George Weah, he would good. Thank you very much. You would know that when he talk about education, you would know that it's a joke. You would know that it's a joke. So all of what he said, this man just listed stuff and said, "Oh, this is what I am going to do." But when you look at the budget, the budget does not reflect any of these things. You know what the budget reflects in Liberia? It reflects salary. Salaries is the biggest share of our national budget. How can you run a country when over 80% of your budget is being consumed by salaries payment? Then you want to tell me about education? No.
All right. Let's take, we talk about the track record. Let's go to the vision. Now we see that both of you have listed what your respective candidates have done. Let's look in the future. We want to hear the vision on education, the economy, infrastructure, and security. And let's take it piece by piece. Let's start with education. Mr. Gaiman, you go first. On education, what's the president's vision post-2023?
Well, I think you know, and this is the vision of all citizens and those who support the pro-poor agenda for economic growth. We are saying that an educated nation and a healthy nation is a powerful nation. So what we are saying is that everything should be done to educate as many of our people as possible. You are seeing lately, the president had taken on the tour to visit every high school possible in the country. And he has said that the environment in which our children are learning is paramount for everything they do. So what is he doing? They are renovating, they are rebuilding, they are training, they're opening teacher training, they are giving incentives for teachers. So what we are seeing here is within the next 3 years, actually, and it's all geared towards the Vision 2030. By 2030, Liberia should have enough educators on the ground so that we cannot rely on foreign teachers. We cannot rely on foreign experts, that we are having our own homegrown educators to educate children. And I can give an example. In my hometown, the Grand Bassa County Community College has now been certified last week or so to give a 4-year degree in education and teacher training. Those are the things that we are doing at every community college. Hopefully within the next 10 years, we will have had enough educators on the ground to educate our own with incentives attached. So yes, we have a vision. The vision is within the framework of the 2030 vision, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Jonah, you will rebut, and then you will give Mr. Cummings' vision on the economy. But first, your rebuttal.
You know, there is a common saying in Liberia that they said, if the Christmas is going to be good, you can know from the eve. Mr. Weah have already told us that the eve of our Christmas was not good. But guess what? Mr. Cummings told us that the eve of our Christmas is good with regards to education. And you know what he did? He opened a school that trains students in math, economic, science, and technology. These kids that are going through this particular program, this is a pilot project. So if he can do this, why he's not yet the president of molding the minds of Liberians into this kind of a learning, if he applied this to our nation, you can see the future. You can project and know that there will be a brighter light at the end of the tunnel. In terms of education, what can you show me that President Weah have done? Nothing. Everything that he have tried to do have always been through the lens of the government, and even at that, he still fails.
Mr.
Let me tell you how he failed. There were students that went to India, crying. They didn't have nothing. I mean, the government could not take care of them. There were students in Morocco crying that the government could not do anything for them. So do you just want that name that I send students out and you do not support them? Is that what you want the Liberian people to see as an achievement in education?
Thank you, Mr. Jonah. Let's go ahead. Cummings' vision for the economy, and then Mr. Gilman will rebut that.
So, Mr. Cummings, being a businessman, this is how he is going to approach the economy. Mr. Cummings believes that for the economy to actually do well, it must start from the middle class. So he is going to invest heavily in the middle class. And once the middle class of Liberia is succeeding, Liberia will succeed. So that is just the simple math that he is going to use. Invest a whole lot in the middle class, and once the middle class is doing well, the rest of the country will follow.
So give me your rebuttal to the economy.
You can see that my brother here is lacking when it comes to the vision, just like his boss. You can tell from the economy that the president has put in place. As you can see, when the president came into office, even the former president said that she threw in the towel. She said education in Liberia was a mess. She could not handle it. And President Weah came in and is cleaning up the mess. Now we are talking about the economy. When you look at the World Bank, and I'm looking at the stats here, it says, based on the model, the Propo agenda, the economy that is in the dungeon, that was in the negative, 2021 is going to grow to 2.3%, and by 2023, it should grow by 5%. That is a quantum leap. We are not talking about macroeconomics, so we are not talking about our own economy. We are talking about the World Bank numbers here. So we are not joking. We are talking about a sound economic team headed by the more illustrious and most qualified finance minister we have ever had in the history of Liberia, Samuel Weah. He put together a program, and the World Bank agrees that within the next 2 years, Liberia is going to go from a negative to 3 to 5% growth. My friend, this is unprecedented. This is unprecedented. CDC is the light that we are looking for. I know some people claim that the light is there, which is the Chinese light, but we're talking about real light. And my brother here was talking about the light at the end of the tunnel for Mr. Cummings. We are hoping that light he's talking about is not a train coming on the other end, because this train of economic success on a job we have left is gone. You cannot hold that back. You cannot bring that back. And the World Bank stated that, in fact, Honorable Weah was awarded as one of the most innovative finance ministers in the entire West Africa. So we have an economic team that telling you that within the next 3 years, we are going from the negative to 5% growth. My friend, it is a tsunami.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. You're 2 minutes out. Let me ask you two questions, two follow-up questions. One on education that you spoke of, and also on the economy that you just talked about. On education, very recent, President Weah visited some schools in Monrovia, and I believe you might have heard about that.
Yes.
And it was disappointing.
Yes.
Very, very disappointing. And so for you to say that this president is on track in terms of educational reform, and when we look at the budget of education since the president took over, the budget for the most part has been cut down. So what yardstick can we use in terms of improving education other than the budget that should suggest that he is investing more money? That's one. Then let me come to the economy. You said, Samuel Weah, you used the word illustrious. The economic numbers are on a downward spiral since the government took over. Every citizen is even calling for his head. that the economic challenges are overwhelming, and you call him the most qualified finance minister ever in the history of our country. Are you very serious here on these issues?
Thank you very much for asking the question. I know you asked the question, but you have never done a comparative analysis to see when was the last time that the whole world came to a standstill economically. A country of our type, of our kind, that produces anything that is basically run on donors' expectations and the give out and the largesse of the world. You are looking at a government that is making do. And the government is now talking about investing in ourselves. We are not talking about an extractive industry anymore for the past 173 years that have been the bread and butter of Liberia. You saw last week the memorandum of understanding that Honorable Dr. George Manuel Weah signed with the Republic of Ghana, that Ghana is going to merge with Liberia on the cocoa production in the agriculture sector. Dr. Weah have said that there will be two things that will actually bring us out of the economic, out of this economic war, will be self-investment in our agriculture and tourism. And those are the two areas in which we are now seeing the movement. The world is moving in that way. And his visit to Ghana this last week is actually indicative of this president's vision that economy, for this economy to blossom.
Mr. Gilman, may I interrupt you? The praises you showered then on Samuel Tuah being illustrious, but we have seen protest upon protest for Saturday. The most recent one is people who just helped to conduct our election were protesting the holiday. Your man Samuel Tuah talk about budget surplus. There have been protests upon protests for salary. So if the government cannot keep up with paying people salary, how good of a job he's doing economically that you're talking about that I don't see?
Well, you see, and it's a myth. And let me disabuse you of that myth. Because what the Liberian people do not understand, we do not understand the difference. We cannot differentiate between contracts. We cannot differentiate between autonomous agency. We cannot differentiate between the autonomous agency and government salary employees. Now, let me make a quick distinction. I know you know this, but for our listening audience, those people that were protesting, they were not employees of the NEC. They said they were contractors that were contracted to do co-washing, to do other
Mr. Gilman, you know the NEC is not a revenue-generating agency.
We understand
right? The national government provides funding for almost every piece of job that it does.
That's
so what
correct.
Are you talking about?
Those few people that you saw on the street, we can actually relegate them to the opposition. Those are people who are not employees of the government. They came over there. There were no proof that they were even actually employed with the government or employed temporarily with the NEC. But nevertheless, if that is the case, protesting, it is not the medium of negotiation. It is a political speech. And we understand that. Now let's go to
the education part, so Jonah can come in.
Okay, let's go to the education piece. You said that the president education, you believe, or the audience, you want to make the audience to believe that our education system is not on par with everybody else. Well, when we made the education system, according to Dr. Salif, the education was a mess, and she threw the White Tower, she threw her hand up and threw in the tower and left it. But as you can see, Liberia has had an increase in wire production since George Weah came to power, okay? Our children are passing the wire at a huge number. We are passing the wire because President Weah have made wire preparation, tutorial, and after-school program a priority, which are enhancement of education. So I see this as a stepping stone for greater things to come. The education system is in good hands with Honorable Sony.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have two questions. One to Ben on the economy. You said Mr. Cummings is going to invest in the middle class. How? Yeah.
So, one of the ways in which his administration is going to do that will be by giving loans out to small businesses. and then people who want to do business is going to invest into the business sector, and by that way, there will be uh, cash flow through the economy, and that is the easiest way to bring any dying economy like ours up. Just invest into the people. It is the people. The people must have the money into their hands. And when I say the people, I'm not talking about you taking a bag of money, going down Wallaside, and then giving it to money changers like Summer 12 did. No, that's not what I am talking about. Again, if Mr. Cummings is giving you money, if his administration is giving you money because accountability is the hallmark of his administration, people will be accountable. And everything will have to pass through the banking system. And not the banking system, it's not the system that is in George Weah House. No, I mean the central bank, where when people send their money, they can go and then get the money. That is what he is going to do. But there, I mean, my brother spoke on a lot of stuff, but there are a few things that I want, to remind him about. I know President Weah is the president of Monrovia. That is, I mean, you and I know that he's the president of Monrovia, because he has not gone anywhere. And when it comes to the projection that you were talking about, I want you to know that most of that projection was based upon borrowed money. However, Liberia and the Weah government does not have a good history when it comes to borrow money. So how can we be assured that this projection will actually be utilized when the government that people give their money to, the government use people money and cannot account for those monies. So there is no way we can stand here and say that the George Weah government is going to reach to this projection. Hell no.
Oh, Mr. Gilman, this is the question for you. You spoke about the economy, that things are going well, but here the numbers are saying otherwise. The GDP annual growth rate is minus 2.5, meaning we are going backwards. We are not growing. Inflation is at 14.77. I'm reading this from trading economics. The interest rate is at 25%, meaning that if you went to the bank to borrow money, the interest rate you're going to pay is 25%, and that can scare investors away. The inflation prices are through the roof. The balance of trade is minus 78.3%, meaning we are importing more than we are borrowing, than we are sending out, and because of that, we are in negative. The current account to GDP is minus 20, and the numbers are just bad. Couple that with what we see now, there's no confidence in the banking system, so there's no money in the bank. There's people, the money is in the country, but it's outside the banking sector. People don't trust the bank to put their money. Prices are through the roof and things are hard. How do you square that with and tell me that the economy is good under President Weah and we should expect better in 2023?
This is what a projection is all about. The projection is a combination of calculation based on past performance, present performance, and we add that up and say this is what this is what the performance is going to be. Now you are talking about we are importing more than we are exporting. We have never been an exporting country until George Weah came in with the idea of, for us to get out of that dungeon, we have to invest in agriculture. Agriculture is where our bread and butter is, as evidenced by our MOU with Ghana. How is Ghana getting by with almost 40 million folks?
Mr. I hate to stop you. I just read you the numbers.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
With Ghana.
Okay, for instance, let me give you an example of the currency of the banking system. We have always had a system that was going to, at some point, come to collide. First of all, we have a dual currency system in Liberia, which is unusual in any part of West Africa. When I was in Ghana the last time, when I got to Ghana, when I got to the airport, I had a US dollar to buy a bottle of water, I was sent to the foreign exchange to change my US dollar to CD. That is what we call consolidation of currency. So they have one currency that can be managed. Now in Liberia, we have the dual currency system. One currency is in demand. We have no way of monitoring who comes into the country, who takes currency out. We have that. We have a separate system with this thing that we call susuku or susu, where people hoard money within their own system. They have no education, they have no training. Hence, their distrust of the system of the government. So these are all issues that have been on the books before George Weah came, and it is just now that we are.
And Weah came to solve these problems instead of narrating these problems, Mr. Goodman. If I may interrupt you, instead of narrating these problems,
President Weah is solving the President Weah is solving the problem.
How?
You saw some of the suggestions that the final.
We're not talking about suggestion. We want solutions.
No, we are talking about
hurting.
Concrete. We are talking about concrete evidence that is supported by the Crow report. And you read the Crow report. They agreed that first of all we have to harmonize. He talked about salary the last time. The previous administration, he was talking about 80% of our GDP or our budget was going to remittances, salaries.
Mr. Goodman, I have to interrupt you. Talking about harmonization, what good did harmonization do for Liberia? And we understand also that the government even went as far as harmonizing data for people to access internet. You think that harmonization is helping the Liberian people?
Listen, the harmonization in Liberia has helped Liberia with the exception, and this is the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address. The bulk of our salary that my brother talked about are legal and constitutional mandated ones. For instance, the salaries for lawmakers were codified into law. For that to be the executive branch of the government cannot go into the law and say we are going to reduce the salary of lawmakers. Since it was into law, that law has to be repealed. And who has to repeal those laws? The same lawmakers that we are talking about, the Dillons of the world, the Thomas Fallas of the world, they have to come up with a law that will repeal, that give the executive the order and the authority to reduce their salary.
And the CDC controls both houses. So why have you not been able to change that?
Thank you. Let's move to our next, still under the vision. Let's go to security. And Mr. Jonah, you can start with that. What's Mr. Cummings? Because right now, let's talk about security and the rule of law under Mr. Cummings.
So when it comes to security, most often people always think about police, the army, and everything, but it go hand in hand with the economy of a country. So for you to have good security, it means that the people of the country must be felt well. What am I saying? It means that there must be the middle class must be well sufficient. Let's fail with their right funds. Teachers must have good salary. Policemen must have good salary. Everybody must have the better share of our country resources. If that will happen, if that can happen, then guess what? The security of our country will be in a good state of mind. But I can tell you, Mr. Cummings will invest again in the middle class and invest into the various security sectors. Today, let's see how much our police officers make. Let's see how much the drugs enforcement people make. These people do not even make more than $200. How can a guy who does not make $200 go and arrest someone who has a drugs worth over $10,000? And you want to tell me that guy would not be corrupt? Of course he will be corrupt. And why should we pay the policeman less than $200 and we pay lawmakers all these huge amount of salary? And I can tell you, if there is anything for any Liberian to be afraid of, recently, one of the best senators that we have, Darius Dillon, what he just posted his 2019
Asset.
yes, just that alone, that is mind-boggling. But here is the reason why the president does not is not interested in fixing stuff. Because if the president leaves the senators alone, his salary is also there to stay for him. Because if Mr. Weah is of a good heart and want to actually change stuff, the way how Liberia runs, this man can do a whole lot, but he's not doing it. Again, when it comes to security, Mr. Cummings is going to put a lot of funds into those sectors to make sure that those people have enough for they and their families so that they can serve our nation well.
Mr. Gibbon, the president's vision, security, and the rule of law.
Well, first, let me. I can tell my brother doesn't have the numbers here. When you listen to the World Report and you listen to the finance minister and his data, he will tell you that investing in the middle class by giving our loan has been a failed one, because 89% of the loan that have been given to our people in Liberia has been by way of default. So when you have a borrowing society where 80% of the borrowers are in default, there is no way that a banking system can invest in the middle class. But anyway, you were talking about security. The security of the country is very strong, as you can see. The AFL is doing very well. They've been well trained. They've been well educated. They have been trained by international forces. They have been trained in different cultural advantages that have never been there for them. We're doing community policing. Community policing is something new in Liberia, where, what I saw in Liberia, the work that these guys do, and the abuse that it takes training for them to take. Remember, they do not have guns, they do not carry guns, they do not carry any weapons. They are using the power of persuasion in a country that just came out of war. So yes, our state of security is tight, and I don't want to say that it's just the security of the president. I have to also give credit to the Liberian people themselves that have worked with the administration with no international help, no international security, no international forces on the ground for us to be where we are. I want to give the president credit, but I also have to give equal credit to the Liberian people for working and making sure that the country stays safe.
Jonah, I saw you wanting to respond quickly.
So I don't know where was Mr. Jerome in recent time with all of these mysterious deaths that have been happening in the country. Are you aware of those things? And you and I know that the report that was given, the report itself is not even believable. And for you to sit here and tell the Liberian people that the security in Liberia is superior, is good.
Well,
I find that hard. I find that very hard.
All right, gentlemen, let's leave it right there for now. Gentlemen, let us leave it right there for now.
Judgment.
Gentlemen, let's leave it right there for now, folks. This is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. It's debate between Alexander Benedict Cummings and President George Manuel Weah. These both individuals are represented by their supporters. Mr. Benjamin Jonah representing Alexander Benedict Cummings and making a case for a Cummings presidency comes 2023, whereas Mr. Jerome Gidman, an unabashed edition, is making the case for President George Manuel Weah possible second term. Gentlemen, let us go to some comments now. The leave it right there. And so, folks who are watching us, we are about to go to the final segment of the debate, which will be judgment. And we will come back to that. But before we do, we want to bring in our viewers here and read some comment. Integrity, accountability, and judgment will be the final segment of this debate. Dennis, let's go to some comments. Let's get them rolling here. There's a lot of comments, about 200 of them. Get started there.
Dwight Dugba Pote, Mr. Gilman, did you read America warning people who wish to visit Liberia, talking about security?
All right, this one
obviously.
here from Josh Lobo. No, Mr. Gilman, you don't have to respond now. After we finish
Okay.
reading comments, then you can respond. The one from Josh Lobo, he said, great conversation. Dennis?
Levi, Juan Joseph, Rosalind Cooper, be inspired, be motivated. 90% of the poll thinks everything is scam. That's why the rate get richer. Have you been hearing about Bitcoin investment but don't know how to trade? Comment how now to know more about Bitcoin. So this person is actually advertising something here.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
all right, this one is from Jackie Sayed. The one reads, is given saying the middle class should not be helped because of defaults? Then as you go.
Still on the middle class. Do you have a middle class in Liberia? That's Darling is asking that.
And this one is from, I think, Sekpa Romeo. Romeo writes, funny man, Cummings couldn't hold people accountable for Nimba primary. The whole country he will hold. That person should be asking a question there.
Franklin Weller, security, Mr. Jackie and Mr. Gilman, please address the mysterious death of some of our auditors recently. This is very important, and Liberians are still waiting to hear from the government.
This one is from George Preston Lobo. Mr. Gilman, I'm very sorry, big brother. That's not true, sir. The first time Harper Highway first phase was completed in April of 2014. Stop misleading our people.
Jala Johnson, my brother, Liberia needs to be telling the truth. I just came from Liberia and my girl works for government and the government is not owing any staff for 2020. Also, Jala said, the economy, no, I want to read the one, but
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there's a one, he's saying, the truth is the common Liberian ASAP are very corrupt by nature and we all know that. Because of this, many families are afraid of making business with their own relatives. Access bank money, the Liberians say it is evil money while Nigerian, Lebanese, and others are taking and making profit. But when Liberians take the money, they use it to drink alcohol and support many girlfriends. And after they mismanage the money, they claim the money is evil money. I don't know where that is going. George Lobo is also saying, very poor excuse, Mr. Gilman. George Lobo, what excuse?
And this one is from the man Weymouth. He writes, ha ha ha, no wonder why the entire country is quacking like a dog because we walk and speak like us. Nonsense.
Amara V. to Regina, Mr. Gilman, the projection for 5% GDP will be in 2024. That will be after the first term. World Bank projections in 2023 will be 4.88%. This projected 5% projection will be one of the modest figures in West Africa. The difference between that and the population growth is minuscule, not good enough.
And this one is from Kesali Double, an ardent follower of Focus on Liberia. This, your Jerome Gitman, is one reason why many people are shying away from FOL. I hope the management can think again.
Jerome, they want us to fire you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dennis.
Cotton Edge. There's a bill for the first time that being sponsored by Honorable Fala of District Number 5 of Monserrato to ensure free education at public colleges and universities. If it goes through, it is going to be a gain. What?
Well, this one's from Edward Doe. Full disclosure, Edward Doe is also an affiliate focused on Liberia on our program On Point with Jerome Gitman. They always are on disagreement on the issues. He writes, how have these mediocre projects by Cummings benefited the citizens? Provide some success stories of the benefits rather than a laundry list of meaningless projects. Wow, Edward Doe is throwing some bullets there. Go ahead.
Edward Doe is not giving up. He got this one for Jerome Gilman. He said, Jerome Gilman defend the indefensible. There has been nothing accomplished through the Pro-Poor agenda. The government can barely pay civil servants, and Jerome Gilman wants to make Pro-Poor an acolyte of the Weah administration. Again, Jerome Doe and Jerome Gilman and Edward Doe, both of them, they are right here on point at Focus on Liberia. Now some fans want us to fire Mr. Gilman.
Some fans want us to fire Mr. Gilman, and management will look into that. Mr. Gilman, you may not have a job. Well, that's a joke for now. This one is from the man Will. Will writes, what's Weah did significantly for refugee? Him, a ambassador, have more to do with his celebrated status more than any work he did. He's making the point that becoming an ambassador was more so of his celebrated status. Dennis?
And Smith, that we are say Ellen Johnson Sirleaf sent more than 100 Liberians to achieve doctorate degrees all over the world. That's speaking to, and then someone is offended by being tagged on this. He said, don't tag me in foolish, man. Foolish is another way of saying foolishness. He said the entire debate is foolishness, according to Makuru Sakor.
Sakor. And this one, oh, okay.
Sorry.
This one is from Kessley Double again. This is a blatant lie. Joshua did not spend a dime on anyone in displaced camps. Nowhere did he spend money on any Liberian refugees during the 14-year civil war. Stop the lies.
So those are a few of our comments. Gentlemen, before we move to our next segment, which is integrity, accountability, and judgment, just 2 minutes to comment on the comments. Let's start with Mr. Jonah.
Yeah. So there was one caller that talked about the laundry list. It is true that that I listed that I gave a lot of laundry list, but I don't know how is it when you invest into education, you do not see the result immediately. So what Mr. Cummings is doing, with regards to education, about that school that he invested into, the math, science, and technology, those things will come up later. Later on, you will see those things. You will see the results. But until then, I cannot speak to those results now. But what it tells you, it just tells you about his mindset, how he foresees education, and what he is trying to get at the end.
And let me address the security issue. Somebody mentioned the warning that Liberia got from the United States Embassy. For those of you who read these things, these are common things that happen. That the United States grade them. When you go to the website, you will see they are colorized from green to yellow to red. When you look at it, that's a commonality. We are also looking at when you're talking about the security in the country, somebody mentioned mysterious death. There is nothing wrong with a city of 2 million people with 5 people dying on a particular night. I'm in South Florida here. You guys are in bigger cities.
Hold on, maybe I didn't hear you right. You said there's nothing wrong with that? I didn't get that right.
There's nothing unusual about a city of 2 million people having 5 deaths in a day. I know you've been hearing I'm in South Florida. We get more than that. We get like 200 deaths in Miami alone. I'm not even talking about Chicago and New York City and Atlanta. I'm not even talking about those cities. So what we are talking about here is look at the context in which this thing happened. Okay, it happened during election time. Who knows what may have happened? It could have been sabotage. It could have been deliberate on the part of the opposition to make the government look bad. We know that this is why the investigation is ongoing. Guess what? The president has more at stake in finding out what's happening when it comes to security than you and myself do, because it is under his administration. Somebody talked about, I think my boy John Lobo talked about the Fishtown Highway, and he wants to take credit because he's a Unity Party person. But like we always said, if it happens, if you finish it in your administration takes credit. That's how it works. And George Noble knows that. If it breaks, you fix it. If it breaks, you own it. If you fix it, you own it. George, we have completed 40 miles of the Fishtown Road. Yes, the Unity Party had a blueprint, but they didn't implement it. George Weah came and implemented it. So he takes full credit. He did it. Don't discredit, don't minimize his success.
Thank you. Let me bring a few more comments here. Dwight Dogbaport said, like Josh Weah, Cummings was in Nigeria refugee camp doing also for Liberians. Still on Cummings, George Lobo is saying, Mr. Cummings is our CPP chairman. Ben, please market him well. Then here's another one from Sekpa Romeo. He said, Ben Cummings should fire you tonight as his campaign manager. So
and I had this. Ben, comment on that one first, then I can read this one.
Oh, well, I see no reason why Mr. Cummings should fire me. In the first place, I do not know Mr. Cummings, but what I know his records, and it is his records that I am defending. I am not defending Mr. Cummings it is his records that I am defending, and I think I am doing it to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me put this one on the screen from that is from Dawia, I think so. These propagandists are destroying the CDC administration. And there's another one here from Sam Wallow. Goodman is not helping his candidate's case with this crime comparison in Chicago. Dennis Jai feels the same way. A life is a life, no matter how you see it. Dennis?
And Joanna Winka say Gilman is not talking the truth, but we don't want to say that same way. Also, Marie Payne said Cummings claimed to be a millionaire, but nobody knew him till election. No, Marie, I knew him before election. He's lived right here with me in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's go to our final segment for the night, and that will be on integrity, accountability, and judgment. Integrity, someone defined integrity to mean as to doing something good even if nobody sees you, right? So we'll come to the integrity, accountability, and judgment of Mr. Cummings versus Mr. Weah. Let's start with you, Mr. Gilman, when it comes to integrity, accountability, and judgment.
And Mr. Gilman, to add to that, this is the question. Tell us about your candidate integrity and judgment compared to his opponent.
Well, I cannot speak for the opposition because as far as we are concerned, they are all misfits. They have no integrity when it comes to Dr. Weah. As you can see, when Dr. Weah was growing up, he grew up poor. He had nothing. He made himself. He's a self-made man. So he understands where we are coming from. He has never taken anything from anybody, and he definitely will not take anything from anybody. In fact, the people in the opposition find him to be so kind and caring and selfless that they think he's soft. And we are saying that is the hallmark of integrity. A man who sees himself not as above everybody else, but somebody who sees everybody as somebody, and they call him names, they call him whatever they want. In fact, some have called for him to be stoned to death. Not once did he come out to say something, okay, in defiance, or whatever it is you want to say about him. One thing he has integrity, and he's a man of conscience and a man of religious value, deeply religious values, and those things are self-evident in his leadership style.
Thank you. Mr. Jonah, same question.
Yeah. So when it comes to integrity, Mr. Cummings' life work can prove that. And how does they prove that? You, like I have said previously and will still say again, you can go and put even into the Google search and put Cummings' name and put corruption, you get nothing. But if you were to do Cummings, if you were to do Weah and corruption, you get a tons of stuff. If you put Weah and integrity, you get a tons of negative stuff. You apply, just apply this tenor that I'm giving you. You do the same with Mr. Cummings, and all you'll find about Mr. Cummings, you'll find a lot of good stuff. See how when he ran the world largest beverage company, see what he did there. Look at his work. See where he took that company. See the branch in Africa. Look at the initiative that he created, not just being by working for Coca-Cola. There were other stuff. He even initiated the Clean Water Project in Africa. This was also done under Mr. Cummings. And in fact, when you talk about accountability, look, there was one thing that's a guy called Malu. I don't know which party he is a chairman of. He said a lot of things about one president in West Africa called George Weah. And you know what? There was nothing done about those things that Malu said about our president. If the chairman of a party can say these things about a particular, of our president, and nothing is done about it, that speaks volume of our president. So, and then when it comes to accountability, all of the corruption that is ongoing in Liberia right now, nobody is accountable for anything. Everybody just goes scot-free. And to prove that, when Ellen Johnson had that tweet on Twitter, that fake tweet, George Weah came back with all of the crimes that said Ellen Johnson and her children had committed. But this was the same George Weah have told time in memorial that he was not going after Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This man established an anti-corruption division in his own government. He was not able to retrieve a dime, and you want to tell me about corruption and accountability? The George Weah government is nowhere close.
Thank you. I have one question for each of you.
Thank you.
And it's on judgment. Let me start with you, Mr. Gaiman. Talking about the president's judgment at a time of extreme, when the country was tense because 5 auditors died mysteriously under mysterious circumstances. In less than 8 days, the president was dancing zombie. Can you hear me?
Okay.
The president was dancing zombie. At a time of extreme economic hardship, the president was in studio singing Liar Man, Happy Birthday, and all the rest. How does this speak to the president's judgment, Mr. Gaiman?
Oh, the president the president's judgment is sound. I would say, I would in fact encourage him to sing more, to do more, to go in the studio whenever he has the time. I remember 2012 when I was working on the Barack Obama re-election campaign, while the country was thirst, and he was out there shooting basketball with the boys. Everywhere he went, he was doing pickup basketball. He was doing those things that brought pleasure and calmness to him. That is part of the leadership. When this country was going through turmoil, you saw Bill Clinton running, jogging, stopping at every Burger King and eating, and he was on Saturday Night and everything else. We've seen literally before this whole debacle, you see President Trump was doing golfing and doing other things that he finds pleasure in and satisfaction in. to get the country going. Those are things that are normal. So for someone to say the president should stop, his life should stop, the earth should not turn on its axis because the president was having fun at a political campaign, dancing. Actually, I like that song, and my children love that song. Okay, so what I'm telling you here is there is nothing wrong with that. Let me be in closing. In World War II, during the Great Depression, Franklin Roosevelt used to have the fireside chat with kids, and they're having fun. It is to take the lives of the people, to take their mind off their suffering because good things were about to happen, and it did. So good things are going to happen in Liberia. We are working on it. So the president did an excellent job with a happy birthday song, and I actually love the zombie. Before we go, you got to play my zombie song.
Thank you. Let me go to you, Mr. Jonah, still on the question of judgment. Here are some areas where I want you to, Mr. Cummings was on a campaign trail, and knowing the optics of being carried in a hammer, he allowed himself to be carried in a hammer on the backs of other Liberians, looking at the history of hammer or of hammercade. Second, in Nimba County during the election, Mr. Cummings, there was what people refer to as the Nimba fiasco, and at the end of it, it's like the CPP put up two candidates, and today, the CPP candidate Ide Gonglo Weah lost the election because what we think is the presence of another CPP candidate, Ta Wongwe, who was going supposedly as independent. We saw the same scenario in District 9, where Fubi Henry, who have won, had other candidates from the CPP have not contested. What does this say? All three say about the judgment of Mr. Cummings.
And Dennis, I want to add this one. At some point, Mr. Cummings appeared on the Sekukana TV and was asked about this question I've been lingering around about his sexual orientation. And Mr. Cummings' answer was, if you think I'm who you think the people say I am, send me your girlfriend. If I were not married, say your girlfriend or your wife, then you will know whether or not what we is telling you is true. So that is judgment there for you, Mr. Jonah. You think Mr. Cummings has a good judgment?
Yes, Mr. Cummings has a very good judgment. Mm-hmm. And this is how, look, everyone who has good judgment sometimes have few shortcomings. Mm-hmm. And let me address the issue about the hammer. I am a traditionalist, and I know what it means for a man to get in the hammer. And I think people are playing just way too much politics only because this is Alexander Cummings. Had that been me in the hammer, it wouldn't have been an issue at all. Because in the first place, when you go to our people and they tell you this is what you're supposed to do. Look, Mr. Cummings, that was a win. It was a win-lose situation. If he had refused to have gotten in the hammer, it would have also been a disrespect to the tradition. If he had gotten in like he did now, the elites outside of our culture sees it as if he was being disrespectful to our people. So again, I would say that was a lose-lose. There was no way Mr. Cummings who have won in those situations. So yes, sometimes there are close calls, and he made the right decision to have gone in there. Will he want to do it again the next time? Probably not.
Well,
now,
real quick. I wouldn't let you off the hook here. Go ahead.
Hold on.
He has a lot to unpack.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the issue that happened in Nimba, look, again, I just think there Liberians are still not honest. I still do not understand why some people in the political side sometimes always want to paint Mr. Cummings black. Yes, while it is true that situation was not the best call, but that call was not made by Mr. Cummings. It was made by Tuah Wongwe himself. Tuah Wongwe went and resigned from the ANC. Is people telling me here today that when someone wants to resign from your party, you should say, no, you should not resign? No, he did all he could, but Mr. Wangwin said he wanted to leave the party, and he left. That is not Mr. Cummings' fault. That is Wangwin's fault, and not Mr. Cummings. And when it comes to the issue in District 9, again, like I said, because, look, the CPP is good. But that being said, there are some factions in the CPP that are only trying to do some negative stuff in there, because District 9 should have been won by Fubi. But again, people play dirty politics. Do you want to blame that on Mr. Cummings' judgment? No, he did not do anything wrong in there. So again, of all of these things that you just talked about,
and finally, the one that send your girlfriend or your wife.
Oh, well, I mean, look, that was a sarcasm, to be honest.
Was he wrong or right?
It was not appropriate. I would not say whether he was, he was not wrong or he was not right, but it was just not appropriate. That's the word that I would use.
Then you playing the same game that you are accusing others.
No,
Mr. Cummings was wrong. Mr. Cummings was wrong to tell somebody, send me your girlfriend or your wife. Yeah, that was wrong. And now you are trying to pin it and try to dress it up.
No, it was not appropriate. I mean,
it's not appropriate.
And you think it was right?
No, I'm not saying it was right. That's what I'm saying. It was not appropriate.
All right. Dennis?
Yeah, people are still picking some bones here.
and Dennis, I wanted to come on this judgment thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I rebut here? Because there are two things that I just cannot let this guy go away. I cannot let him off the hook here.
All right, quickly, you have a minute.
Okay, if you can put your water away.
Okay.
He is saying that in respect of our tradition, he got into the hammock. Hey, my friend, our culture says that we can marry children. Will Mr. Cummings acquiesce to our culture in the interior to marry a child? Will he be a pedophile or a child molester because the society says this? This is what leadership. This is what leadership and judgment is all about. When someone tells you to do something that is wrong, you have the courage and the judgment to say, I decline or I will pass. He never did. He took upon himself to be carried around like a chief. And then second, you are talking about this homosexual or whatever the perception is. And the first time that he was approached on this particular issue, his comment was, I've had struggle with that question. That was exactly what I have struggled with that question.
No,
I have struggled with that lifestyle. And we have seen this. This is a man who cannot categorically. This man cannot categorically say. He said he struggled with that. He said he struggled with that.
But that is not true. That is not true. He didn't say that.
He said that. He said this is a lifestyle that I struggle with. I have the video. He said that. He said this is a lifestyle that I struggle with. Whatever it means, I can't interpret that, but he said though exact words that this is a lifestyle that I struggle with. He said that.
All right.
So, okay, let's move on to the next one. This one for his mouth.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. This is a debate between Mr. Jerome Gateman and Ben Jonan, each representing their candidate. Ben Jonan representing Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings, and Mr. Jerome Gateman representing President Weah. This is a debate for 2023 presidential election. We don't have the candidates yet. We are not sure if they will ever come here, but we are sure of their supporters coming here and making the case for them, and that is what they are doing. Before we go any further, we have our proverb of the day, and I'm going to put that on the screen here quickly for you. Then let's remove that. Let me bring in our proverb for the day. Our proverb for the day reads, "It is better to fall while sitting than to fall while standing." That is our proverb for the day. Dennis.
Dennis, please let me clear something out first.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
With regard to that statement, what I was saying that he did not say, it was the way in which Mr. Jerome was trying to frame it as if Mr. Cummings said that he is a gay. That's what I was saying. But the statement, just the way how Anthony said it, yes, he did say that. But it was not the way in which Mr. Jerome is trying to infer as if Mr. Cummings is saying that I am a gay. No, that is not true.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of a series of presidential debate for 2023. You watch the debate between Mr. Ben Jonah representing Mr. Alexander Cummings and Mr. Jerome Gayman, and unabashed sedition representing President George Weah. You watch the debate, we want your comments because another debate coming. We want your suggestions and how this can be. First of all, give us your comment as to how you feel about today's debate, who you think won the debate, and what are your suggestions for our next debate between Mr. VP Joseph Newman Boakai and George Mane Weah. We also want you, if you want to take part in this debate, drop us a line, focusonliberal@gmail.com, or inbox us, and we will be able to bring you in. We want to appreciate all of you. As we conclude, we want to get our closing statement from our debaters to make their final selling pitch why your candidate should be elected come 2023.
And this time we're going to start with Mr. Jerome Gayman.
Thank you very much for bringing us, actually inviting us on your platform. It is an honor for us to have the education, the platform to disseminate information. I have always referred to you as the National Public Radio of Liberia. You are actually factual, you are educational, and you are research-based. And this is what we want because you have the research, the numbers, and the stats at your fingertips. Folks just cannot come here and throw things out and get away with it. And I also like the decorum on your forum. There are no abusive languages here. There are no demeaning of each other. We respect who we are and we respect our opposition. We respect our view. And I want to tip my hats off to you guys for the job well done. Now, in closing, I would like to thank my buddy here. Hopefully we can meet in person when this is all over with. But the reason why President Weah is going to be re-elected is that all the foundations that have been laid, we are now going to see the fruit of our labor. You're going to see the road connectivity. You are going to see, starting in March of this year, that we will begin to turn those transformers and those sub-regional electrical grids on, and the country is going to be electrified. The economy is going to pick up a little bit, and we are going to have, yes, an improvement in the economy. We are going to address the ghost issues, ghost on the payroll, which is a major issue in the Liberian economy. We're going to address that. Those of you who are talking about people being paid on time, you just do not understand that by having 4,000 to 5,000 people in each department that are not members of actually employee of an agency, but are they call auxiliary, that came from the previous administration to this administration. Now laying those people off, whether you call it downsizing or right sizing, it shows and they throw a negative connotation on the administration. So we are asking our Liberians, the government cannot facilitate everybody in employment. We have to be our own brothers' keepers. We have to be honest within ourselves. When we are going to deal with corruption, we have to begin, it's like charity, it begins at home. Our brothers, our sisters, anybody who have not been gypped in Liberia by your own family members, then you are lucky. But corruption is in our homes, it's in our churches, it's in our mosques. We need to address it comprehensively. We need to provide jobs outside of the government. What you are doing, focus on Liberia. You have hired few folks and you are doing well. So we want to do the same thing, replicate this in Liberia, that we are our government's keeper. Government cannot hire everybody. If you are a qualified person, find a job, create a job. Government cannot hire everybody. Thank you very much for the honor to represent the Dr. George Bekube Mano Opon Weah. And I look forward to debating anybody from the CPP, from the UPP, from the UP, from the LAP. We are here waiting for you. Joseph Weah next. We are waiting for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Jonah.
Well, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to you guys for having me here to represent Mr. Cummings. And I also want to say a big thank you to my brother Jerome for the time that we had together here. I think it was a good discussion, and we need more of these things to happen. But let me talk to the Liberian people. Another election is coming. And you will see some of these same failed politicians like George Weah and the rest coming to you, asking you for your vote. I must warn you, this is no time for try and error. The Liberian people have given George Weah the time, and he has failed them. This is not a time to give him any more time. I mean, like 6 more years? No, please. We cannot live one day after this man 6 years is over. So I am asking you to please choose wisely this time around. Choose a man who stands for integrity, a man who is honest, and a man who has a track record of producing jobs. He's a job creator. Choose a man who would not take away from Liberia, but someone who will bring back stuff into Liberia. The last time I checked, I've not seen Mr. Cummings getting a paycheck from Liberia. But there are tons of examples that I can list that, if not all of our politicians have had salaries from that country. I'm not saying getting salary is a wrong thing. But if you were to make a decision today between a man who takes away from you and a man who gives to you, I don't know what you would do, but I know what I would do. What I would do, I would take the man who brings money to me and not the one who takes away from me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ben. We're getting some pluses here. Patrick Kennedy saying, great show tonight, FOL, kudos. Sekba Romeo, appreciate y'all for the great show tonight, guys. And we're asking for who you think won the debate. Here are some suggestions or some comments. Sekba Romeo said, Judge, we are doing terrible, but Mr. Gaiman won this debate landslide. Let's see. Patrick again also said Mr. Gaiman won the debate. Mr. Gaiman, you are not smiling.
Well, winning
apparently for he's not sure.
No, winning for us is usual. We win everything we're born to win, so it's nothing new to us.
All right. So to our audience, we want to say thank you so much, and thank you, gentlemen. This is a debate. We want to encourage political dialogue. Ben or James Davis said Ben won the debate, and so it's now one-sided tonight. We want people to come up and let's talk. Okay, we need people, and we cannot debate ourselves. We depend on all of you to come. Let me be honest with you. This is the issue that we wrestled with when we went out to look for. There are people who want to debate, but sometimes we have a situation where we don't find someone who is an official on one side. So if we met an official of CDC USA and they say, well, for me to debate, I need an official of Cummings USA or an official of Unity Party USA. So we have had these kind of issues. What we want to encourage all of you is we want Liberians to debate. Let us talk the issue. So whether you are Unity Party USA official or you are a CDC USA official, it really shouldn't matter. As long as we have two Liberians who support either side, please contact us and let's have a civil debate. The culture of no debate is killing us. People are rising to power that we don't know anything about them because we don't cross-examine them. We have never debated the issue, and so it's about personality. We want to debate this time, and it should start with us here in the diaspora, encouraging debate. dialogue, competition, talking. Let's talk. Mr. Sear.
Dennis, thank you. Thank you so very much, Ben, and thank you so very much, Mr. Gateman, for accepting our invitation and not giving the usual flimsy excuses some of these so-called leaders in these so-called political parties continue to give us. Oh, I'm a chairman, so I can't debate somebody who is just a member. You see where we have gotten in Liberia? What makes you think that because you are a chairman of a political party, you are better than somebody who is not a chairman of a political party? And on that basis, you will not come to debate the issue, to represent your political institution that you claim to love and represent. It must be a chairman to chairman. Jesus Christ. Dennis, you said it all. I don't want to be on a dead horse. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and we brought you Series 1 of our debate series for the 2020 general and presidential elections. Again, thank you and thank you. Keep your dial set here at Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. You know, we never leave you without bringing you that song that unites us, that songs that instill that patriotic spirit within us. And that song says, we are all Liberians. Whether or not you are a chairman, you are still a Liberian. So on the basis of your Liberianness, you should be debate another Liberian, not tell me, oh, the man is nobody. Where you people coming from with a nobody and somebody thing? Have we not had a war on these kind of talks? I'm disgusted by these things. What I'm saying is, let's come and talk, because words can be used better to develop a nation. On that note, the sun and Baba for us.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Our Father, who art in heaven.